Okay, hello. This is Michael Graff again with the 400-year prophecy about the end of slavery and mistreatment in America, part 2. And in this, I'm just going to get into some reasons why I believe that America will not go on beyond 2050. And just going to get one that's not on the list right quick. Um, if America's future is going to be technological, like the Terminator movies, I really recommend leaving before 2045 because if somebody were to follow the script of the Terminator movies, then that would be when Skynet would become self-aware and start to put in steps to destroy America, which we saw in the movie. Skynet went psycho and launched a bunch of nukes that destroyed America. Now, if it's not going to be nukes, well, we know they're still working with robotic technology. It's not perfect. What if it were perfected by that time? Then that would mean that people would be rounded up and pretty much destroyed. So I recommend people get out of America by 2045 because, as you know, 2050 is the end of 400 years. Okay, now, but I'm going to get into this list right here. Number one, possible civil war, race war. The civil war part could be when America comes against the homeowners, gun owners, because they want their land back and they don't want you to have guns. So if there's no guns out there in the general population, the race war comes. They then make those surviving whites go and round up whatever blacks are left, which is true Israel, and they try to destroy them, or they do destroy us. Uh, there's nothing to say that they wouldn't do it in the future because they've done it in the past. Um, they have hung my ancestors by trees. They have taken my ancestors out and burned them on the same said trees that they hung them by, or they would have a lynch mob and beat them, and just horrible things I can't go into here. But then let's say the high gas prices are another reason why America gets destroyed. People can't go anywhere without cars, can't go over long distances. Um, Say that there is a collapse of morality at this time, and people just start stealing gas and killing each other and things like this, and this becomes everyday life for Americans, and it gets bad enough to where people start shutting down the country because part 3, repressive totalitarianism government comes in, decides, okay, we know the high gas prices are high, and we know you're going out there and stealing and killing and things like this, but this has got to stop. And so then it ends up they shut the cities down, like I said, and they don't let anybody go anywhere unless you have your papers. Okay. Now, let's say that as a result of this, fire from the angels and chariots, which I say are airships, but other people would say UFOs, from Haya, the Lord Almighty, destroys cities. I looked at this, I think that for God to get his point across, if he wanted to, he could have his angels and chariots destroy New York, San Francisco, Dallas. I'm in Fort Worth, so that would wake me up. Now, Houston, Chicago, all the big cities. Okay, now let's say before this, high unemployment leads to crime, which that's already happening, but it's not happening so much amongst everybody. You can't have this one group of people, which are my people, that are leading in unemployment. I mean, like many more whites, many more Mexicans, many more Asians end up unemployed, and they say, you know what, forget it, I'm going out here. Whoever gets in my way, I'm taking theirs. You know, and let's say it ends up bad enough to where people don't even care about hiding their identity, they don't care about the cameras, and they just start wasting people. Okay? Let's say it starts small, but then it goes big, and because people get tired of going through stuff like that. But anyway, let's say the banking system collapses at the same time nationwide due to Gov overprinting money, that if it can't pay it back, and senior citizens will go hungry, because now what you have is the senior citizens in the banking system, which is a part of the Social Security insurance system, which they get for their retirement or whatever, their pensions or benefits for having worked so many years, and now they can't, let's say that it comes to the point to where they can't, get their stuff anymore, and, it ends up that you have lots of dead older people because they can't live without food, they can't live without the medicine, things like that. 7. With the military spread too thin, our enemies to the south, Cuba, Venezuela, and any other communist country will destroy American cities that the government are not in control of. Remember that movie? I believe it was Red Tide. Or no, Red Dawn. And in the 80s, they had it to where the Mexicans were coming in, and they were parachuting in and all this stuff. Well, we all know Mexicans don't have to do that. They're already here. They come in through the border. And so that was a ridiculous premise. Then they had the updated version with North Korea coming in here and doing that. And again, that's a silly premise. North Korea would never do that. They would just send a nuke. They have nukes now. Okay, but a total viable premise would be Venezuelans and South Americans and other people like that parachuting in here and killing citizens, wanting to get to the higher citizens, and then taking over. Now, I don't think they go beyond the South. Now, when I say South, I mean parts of California that are south, going over into the other southern region. Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Georgia, other parts of the South. Okay. Okay, now let's say that number 8, foreign powers with the mission to be here will suddenly turn on the government, only to come against the people in the name of their country. Spain, England, France, and Germany, and Rome all had a hand in making America, so basically they want the parts of their country back that they influence. So basically, the UN has given permission for these military operations to go on here. And they're setting up FEMA camps, stuff like that. Who's going to go to the FEMA camps? Well, in my mind, I would like to say the very poor, but think about it. They're not a threat. They're just out there on the street. Can you give me some bread or $5, buy some food or something, and then they turn around and go get some liquor because life is too hard and they can't cope with it. So if it was me, and it's not me, but if it was me and I was a government, I'd say we actually go back to, I would say, number 1. Go get homeowners, take their guns, lock them up in FEMA camps. And then the ones who are willing to do what you want them to do, sick them on the lowest of the population would be the blacks, my people. Which, again, that's sad. We have to leave this country. Okay, and number 8. No, well, I've already done number 8. Number 9. Let's say wild animals in zoos will break out and eat the dead women and men and children. Of course, this scenario would be after a war, of course. When this runs out, having developed a taste for humans, they will then begin to stalk live humans, eating many people. So basically, all the carnivorous animals would more than likely eat the non-carnivorous animals, and then the carnivorous animals would then turn and eat whatever dead bodies were laying around. And when they ran out of those and they saw people walking around, it's go time. It's lunch. So, and number 10, America's shale deposits shall dry up and will be dependent on Saudi Arabia for oil. Yet Iran will nuke Saudi Arabia as well as Mecca, which leads back to high gas prices. Yeah. And which was number 3. Let's see if it was number 3. Yeah. Well, no, wait a minute. No, it was number 2. Number 2. Okay, so basically, this here. Also, notice all the sinkholes opening up all around the world. Is when they go back in there to get these shale deposits that the oil is dried up into, and they wet this stuff, they're actually destroying the earth. They're collapsing the ground, and there's nothing in there. And so, miles away from where they're doing this, these sinkholes are opening up because there's no support. It's almost like the parable about the wise man who built his house on the rock. When the water came and tried to dash up against the house, it didn't reach the house. But the foolish man who built his house on sand, when the water came in, it flooded it and it knocked it down and took it away. Well, this is somewhat like that, because if you have ground which has soil and rocks and things like that, and let's say you go in there and you find an oil deposit. Now, you don't know how big this oil deposit is, or maybe you do know how big this oil deposit is. But, nobody ever thinks about, hey, if we drill this and there's only air here, there's air pockets, technically if we take this out of the ground, will it collapse the ground, make a big sinkhole? But then again, the people don't care because they're too busy making money. And they're destroying the earth doing it. And number 11, America's petrodollar will fail, and Saudi Arabia will strike a new deal with China for a new gold and oil standard. That's already happening, people. It's called the BRICS. B is for Brazil. Okay, R. I don't know what R is for, unless it's BR for Brazil. But India, Brazil, India, China. I think that Africa's involved now. Not sure, but I'm saying the days of America's petrodollar are numbered. Okay, that is the end of that chapter, so to speak. And I'm going to go to part 3 of this video, which I said there would be a part 2 or 3. Now I know there's definitely going to be a 3. So thanks for watching, and shalom.